Hello, everybody. My name is Daisy Kate, and this is Shannon, and
Hi, everyone.
We are on Ballarat National Theatre's 2021 board. Very, very exciting today. So we're going to be talking about not only our show for this year, but our upcoming 2022 season. Before we start, I'd just like to pass over to Shannon for an acknowledgement of country.
Hi, everyone. I would just like to, sorry, folks, a bit of a background here. So we would just like to acknowledge that we are presenting from Wadawurrung land today, and we have got people from Wadawurrung land as well as the Wurundjeri land. We want to acknowledge that they are the traditional custodians of the land on which we are presenting from. We would like to pay our respects as well to their elders, past, present, and emerging, and acknowledge that we are still on Aboriginal land. Sovereignty was never ceded. Back to you, Daisy. Kate.
Thank you, Shannon. Okay, so to start off this evening, we are going to be speaking with our current director of our 2021 show. So we will be speaking to Mary Rose McLaren, who is directing Steel Magnolias by Robert Harling. Hi, Mary Rose. We have you on the other end.
Hi, Daisy Kate. Hi, Shannon. How are you both? Hello, everybody out there.
How are you today?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah, we're excited about Steel Magnolias.
Me too.
When we started rehearsing, which was about, I don't know, a month, 6 weeks ago, and we started on Zoom, and we are now rehearsing in person. And we honestly didn't really believe it was going to happen. But now it appears that it will happen and that it will all go ahead. It's awesome.
Amazing. Very excited to hear that we've been able to move from this online platform and start to see some live theatre coming soon. Mary Rose, would you be able to tell us about yourself? We'd love to hear about your history and direction and your connection to BNT.
Oh, about me?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I've been around a long time. We moved, my family and I moved to Ballarat, or back to Ballarat. I grew up there as a child, went away, came back, like lots of people do. Probably 20 years ago, and one of the first things I did was get involved with BNT. In fact, it was actually one of the draw cards to moving to Ballarat for me, was that there would be a theatre group to get connected to. And I've been doing stuff with BNT ever since, really. Also some stuff with a few other companies, and I work with Alex Meerbach with Signet and Swan, which is another theatre company with a different slant from BNT. Otherwise, I work at Victoria University, where I teach in education and creativity. At BNT, the best things I've done at BNT, I've done some really amazing shows with people, and just loved working with lots of the people at BNT. And I wrote and directed One Boy's War. It's coming up to almost 10 years ago now, but that was one of the best things I've ever done. It was fantastic. Yeah.
Incredible. Thank you so much for sharing. Now, Mary Rose, why did you decide on Steel Magnolias?
Well, I was a little bit prompted. I knew that there was some talk out there that Steel Magnolias would be a really, really good play to do. And it appeals to me enormously because it's a female cast of really, really strong characters. It's an ensemble piece. So for doing an amateur show where people have to really love what they're doing and love being involved with the process, it's a great play to do that. It's quite a well-known play or movie. Lots of people have seen the film if they haven't seen the play. And the film script is written by the playwright, so they're quite close in many ways. And look, it's a really feel-good show. You'll come to Steel Magnolias and you'll laugh and you'll cry, I hope, and you'll feel good about friendships and feel good about family, and you'll have a bit of, if you're an old person like me, a bit of a blast back into the 1980s. And it's a really fun show, but it's also a show that really demands responsiveness from the actors, and it really demands thinking about how to communicate the ideas. So it's got lots of challenge, but lots of great bits as well. You know, lots of fun parts to it too.
Sounds fantastic. I'm, for one, very, very excited to see this show. Now, we have mentioned that you are currently in rehearsal, so you do have your cast, but I'm wondering if there is anyone else that you need from the BNT community to make this show happen. Is there any support you're looking for crew or anything like that that you'd like to do a call out for?
Oh, we can always do with more crew, essentially. Anyway, I mean, there are always jobs that people can do. But yes, we have somebody in charge of props and somebody in charge of costume. But those are two. This is an 80s play. There are lots of props and there are lots of costumes. So, in fact, somebody to support them would be really good. Lots of stuff to gather. It's set in a hair salon, right? So there's all this hair stuff that we have to somehow get hold of and try and keep in period as much as we can. We're still looking for a set builder, which would be fantastic if there's someone out there with set building skills that we can have a chat to and work out a plan with. That'd be really good. So yeah, look, if people are interested, and even if they think, oh, I don't really know what I can do, but they'd like to be involved, then, you know, we will find a meaningful job. Absolutely.
Wonderful.
Also,
If I could just pop in, Daisy Kate, and say there is a link on the bottom of the stream right now, and if you follow that link, that will take you to where you can apply to be a part of our crews and check out other things that we have as well.
Perfect. And I just want to add one thing too, that because we were being really COVID cautious, we've actually, for the first time ever for BNT, we've understudied the parts. And so, in fact, you can come to this show more than once and see different cast. Just putting it out there.
How exciting. One of them is actually my mum, so that's really cool for me.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Mary Rose, for coming on. Just checking in with Shannon to see if there's any possible questions that you would otherwise like to ask.
John Bentley has asked, can I do the plants? Mary Rose, did you need somebody to do any plant work for Still Magnolias?
Hello, John Bentley. Well, I haven't seen you in a very long time. If you want to do plants, John, we will find a plant job for you. Absolutely.
There's always more room in theatre for some fresh greenery.
Yeah, absolutely.
Most definitely. Yeah, there's always room in the BNT community for more happy, positive people that are willing to find a spot. So I'm sure we can make some room for you, John. Awesome. Any other questions on your end, Shannon?
No more questions. Some people seem to be really excited and keen for it, and so am I. But I think that's it for the questions for you there, Mary Rose. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us again, Mary Rose.
I'm really delighted to be here, and good on you for putting this online, and how great this is to be able to do this online, and how great it is that we will actually be back in the theatre in December.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Okay, so we will be moving on to our first show of our 2022 season. Very, very exciting. So first up, we have Children of the Black Skirt, written by Angela Betson and directed by Deanne Houston. Hi, Deanne.
Hi, everybody.
How are you today, Deanne?
Pretty good. I'll be very excited to see this get up on the stage after so many false starts.
For sure. Now, Deanne, how about we start off with you telling us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So I did an acting degree back a very long time ago, 20-something years ago, and majored in in acting and design. From there, I worked in professional theatre for a while and was working with Disney's Beauty and the Beast as a production secretary. I went and travelled the world for a while and then came back and realised that I really wanted to be a drama teacher. So finished my teacher degree and I've been teaching drama for probably about 15, 16 years now. Currently, I'm an assistant principal at a Ped 12 college here in Ballarat. So still dabbling a little bit in drama, but really keen to missing it a bit because I don't get to teach it as much, and really keen to get to work with some adults and some local talent. So yeah, that's a bit about me.
Amazing. Thanks so much for sharing, Deanne. So now, Children of the Black Skirt, can you tell our audience a little bit about the show and what's going to be going on with that?
So it is it's labelled as a lot of different things. I like the gothic fairy tale with bite. So the genre of this performance is Australian Gothic. So it's a genre I'm really keen to explore. In my many years of directing and teaching, I'm really, I guess my thing or my jam is often non-naturalism, and I really enjoy working with Brecht and theatre of cruelty and those kind of genres. Australian Gothic, something I've always wanted to dabble in, and I think this play lends itself beautifully. So it's a play that's sort of set in today's time. There's some young people that kind of end up in an orphanage, an abandoned orphanage, and then they, revert backwards and forwards through time. A lot of disjointed time sequences where they move in and out of different times from the 18th century to the 20th century. They look at sort of pickpockets and those kind of stories. There's also the stolen generation and a lot of really significant stories that are really pivotal to who we are as an Australian society. Some really great stories, and as the stories are told, then the spirits can get released. So I'm really, it's quite an eclectic sort of style in many ways. I'm really looking to produce this as an ensemble, so I'll be looking for a really tight cast that will transform between roles, that will play multiple roles and work together, doing some really cool physical theatre, playing with some soundscapes and those kind of things to really heighten that Australian Gothic fairy tale feel to the story.
Brilliant. Sounds like there's a lot of different really cool mediums being brought into this show, and what an exciting thing to be able to involve not only younger performers but older performers as well to tell such a brilliant story.
Yeah.
Now I'll just check our next question for you. So how will you bring this to life on the stage?
Like I said, I think I'll be drawing on a lot of really eclectic favourite genres of mine. I really want the ensemble to be present at all times. I want it to be, so that we've got a chorus and a group of people that are moving in and out of the action, that we've got observers, that we're able to call on the observers to comment on the action and react and also work within the audience. I really enjoy playing with projection and multimedia. So I intend to have a bit of a play around with some ideas there with what we might be able to do and how we could explore a bit of projection. It's going to be, I guess, really that non-naturalism. Lots of, I guess, we'll be asking our audience straight away to come with us on a journey, to really suspend your disbelief and come get involved and get a bit bit dark and spooky and gothic.
Brilliant. Now, Deanne, when will this show be put on? So what's the rough time frame of this show for us?
So our last discussions was early in 2022. So it was about the sort of February, May period, hoping to, as soon as we can remove masks and do an audition, it would be happening in December. And there's already a bit of a crew list, I believe, of people who are interested. So would like to get the ball rolling on that pretty soon.
Most definitely. So we talked about a little bit of crew going on, but who do we need to make this show happen?
I'm not at this point. There's quite a few on the list that have expressed interest. So I'm sort of probably set design building is always a niche thing, but I think there's a lot of people who have some experience in different areas and some who have just, I'd like to learn and get involved. And I'm really keen to help support development in people's passion, to have people working together and learning from each other. So I think at this stage, I think we've kind of got an eclectic. I'm not 100% sure if I've got any big gaps as yet, but I'm not seeing any at the moment.
Yes, of course. And so obviously we both know in the time of COVID, things have been pushed back, but we're still really enthusiastic to get people in for this show. It's one I'm very excited about. For those watching at home, there will be some more information coming up in regards to auditions and things like that. If you are interested in being involved, whether it be cast or crew, there is a link at the bottom of the page. So following our link tree, just down here. Yeah, that is kind of it on my end. Shannon, have we got any questions in the comments for Deanne?
No comments for you at this point, Deanne. Again, folks who are watching, feel free to throw any questions or comments down there, and we'll get to them as we get through our stream here. But yeah, no questions for you at this time, Deanne, unless there was anything you wanted to add.
No, not at all. I'm just really excited. Can't wait to create something incredible. So thanks Ballarat National for the opportunity.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight, Deanne. I'm really, really excited for this one, and hopefully our community is too. It's going to be a brilliant show. Okay, everybody, moving on to our next show within the season, which is Cozzy, written by Louis Nowra and directed by Dan West. Hello, Dan.
Hi, Dan. I think Dan might have us have the volume down a bit.
Hello. I think my internet just lagged for a moment there.
Hello. I thought we lost you for a second.
I think my internet just lagged. Sorry. Hello, everyone. Hello.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us this evening, Dan. Same as we've gone so far, would love to hear about yourself and your direction.
Sure. Yeah, I'm a Ballarat lad. I've been here my whole life. And primary
We've
school
just lost
teacher.
you for 1 second, Dan.
Oh, sorry.
Back again. No, you're all good. Technical difficulties.
I'm a primary school teacher during the day, and I teach performing arts during the day. And I've directed a few shows, and I'm involved in a lot of different music projects as well. And so my creative time is spent between music and theatre. And really looking forward to being involved with BNT again.
Brilliant. Awesome. Now, Dan, can you please tell us a bit about Cozzy?
Sure. Cozzy is an Australian play. It is set in 1971, and it was written in the 1990s. But it's set in 1971 and in Melbourne against the backdrop of the Vietnam War. And it's marketed as a drama and a comedy. But I think it leans more in the world of drama. The basic premise for the story is that a young theatre director, straight out of uni, his name's Lewis, he takes a job directing theatre at what is called in the 1970s, it's called a mental institution. It's referred to as a mental institution. So he's directing a play for people that live at this place. And so then what we find is this wonderful development of this play within a play, but we also get to see these characters that are doing the play within the play. And we get to explore these characters and their personalities and what they love and what they fear. And there's a lot of empathy in the show, a lot of empathy and a lot of comedy, hopefully, as well.
Great. Sounds like some really interesting themes throughout, and what a fun concept to have a play within a play. I'm sure that will bring a lot of exciting things to that, a lot of different elements. Why did you choose this play?
That's a good question. I've always been drawn to it. I first saw it in 1995 when it was done by Theatre Movement here in Ballarat, and it was directed by Andrew Seary. And it had some wonderful Ballarat actors involved in it. And I remember it so vividly. It was a very formative time, I think, where as a young person, you're absorbing lots of influences. And I remember seeing the play then, and I remember thinking that it was beautiful and it was full of heart and full of comedy and was funny, but it had a huge heart underneath it all. So I've been drawn to it since then. I had the good fortune to direct it as a first-year teacher at Damascus College in 2017. So I had the pleasure of doing the play with high school students, and that was a wonderful experience. And I would like to revisit that experience again as a slightly older person, perhaps with a few more runs on the board, and look at the play from a different perspective this time as well.
That's really interesting. I'm really excited to see what you do with this one, Dan, and I'm sure the process will be really interesting going at it from a second time, what you might pick up and what you might see differently from having this time off.
I hope to see it from a different lens this time. Not to take anything away from the first experience, because it was the first time I'd ever directed a play as well, was when I did Cosy the first time. So I have a lot of fond memories of that time as well, but something was drawing me to do it again. Yeah.
Well, that's very special. Now, Dan, when will the show be put on?
It'll be on in April, during the April school holiday time, Easter school holidays.
Excellent, excellent. And how are you planning on bringing this show to life on stage?
Yeah, well, my plan is to do it at the Courthouse Theatre. And the Courthouse Theatre is a beautiful space that is indicative of the era that the play is set in. So I intend on using the bare bones of the Courthouse Theatre to my advantage. While there'll still be some set elements and some set pieces, I'm really hopeful that I can use the Courthouse Theatre as an element, as a practical element as far as set design and staging of the show. In terms of bringing the show to life, I really hope that we are able to create a really strong cast of wonderful character actors, but also actors that can bring about an authenticity and an empathy for the people that they are playing, and the struggles and the virtues of the people that they are playing. I think that's a key ingredient with Cosy, because we don't want to create stereotypes and we don't want to create generalizations. We want these characters to be as authentic as possible. So while a great character actor and someone who is proficient with their timing, their comic timing and so on is going to be key, I'm really looking for actors with a real authentic approach to how they work.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you, Dan. Now, we did just talk a little bit about the kind of actors that you're looking for, but overall, who do you need to make this happen?
Yeah, well, it's very early days, so I'm looking for everyone, from set builders, set designers, to collaborate with, a lighting designer to collaborate with. I love the idea of collaboration in theatre. Despite directing this, for me, it's all about the collaboration with the other people on the team, the people that the people that are working on the show. So I would be hopeful that we can get a great production manager, great stage manager, and lighting designer and set designer, and that we would work collectively to develop an aesthetic, a vision for what Cosy might look like. As far as the actors go, there's a wide range of ages that actors can be in Cosy. There's a couple of characters that are deliberately 20 to 30 years of age, and it wouldn't make much sense if they were much older than that. But there's other characters where the age range can be quite broad. So I welcome everyone to audition, anyone that's interested. There's plenty of scope for a diverse age range in the characters of Cosy.
Excellent. Thank you, Dan. Next question I have is, what will the audition process be for this show?
The audition process will be to present a monologue from the play. And then that will be workshopped a little bit in the first audition, and then following that a callback where we would look at a scene, we'd look at a short extract with 2 or 3 other potential actors working a scene together. And part of that process for me will be about looking at how actors are teamed up and the connection that 2 actors might have together, and a bit of a spark where they might enjoy working with each other. For me, a great cast has got to do with people that enjoy working together, because it's such a long process, and it becomes quite a confined space. You know, like when we're in the rehearsal room, it's just the company. So there's a lot of time spent together. So for me, it's really important that people get along, and it's really important that people are kind and considerate as actors, as people. And so I'll be hopefully, getting a sense of all of those attributes as well. Yeah.
Most definitely. Sounds like you're aspiring for a really, really positive, safe, creative space. And that's exactly what we want within the BNT community. So I applaud you for that vision. Our next question is, when will auditions be held?
January, probably early to mid-January, and then we would start not long after that. I hope to meet with the cast and have a first, table reading and maybe a first couple of rehearsals before the end of January, and then we'd just be rehearsing until April.
Excellent. That kind of answers our next question, which was when you'd like to begin. So following straight after auditions then.
Right into it, hopefully.
Yeah, fingers crossed, hey. Thank you so much, Stan. Now I've noticed that we have a few different comments in questions for you. If Shannon wants to take over there.
Great. So the first question we have for you, Dan, is from Megan Rydell, who we'll also be talking to later. But that was, will you be specifically looking for neurodiverse cast members given the tone of the play?
Will I be looking for neurodiverse cast members? I will be looking for a cast that can carry the play and honour the play and honour the words and the work of the play. And I know that that's a little bit of a deflected answer. I suppose, to be honest, I'm not able to articulate that any more clearly at this point in time. It's a really good question though, Megan. Thank you.
The next question we have here for you, sorry, it's just my thing has scrolled, from Jasper Jordan. What things you're looking to explore with Cosy, beyond, of course, what you've already mentioned? Are you looking to raise awareness for mental health within the community, or is that just a part of what's already there?
Look, I think it will raise awareness, and I hope it does. It's not something that will be it couldn't be avoided by the nature of the play, so it will, I think. The play being set in the 1970s, I think for an audience these days as well, particularly, I think because the play's set in the 1970s, what it will do for a contemporary audience is shine a light on the treatment of people in the past. Although it is a comedy as well, and it goes deep in parts, it's not necessarily a deep drama, though. It is a comedy, but it does shine a light on how people were treated in the 1970s and the 1960s. So it will probably help an audience realize the struggles that people have gone through in the past, and also highlight perhaps the struggles that people go through today as well.
Yep. Excellent. There's one more question for you here. The name hasn't come through the system, unfortunately, but from a Facebook user. A question again about mental health, very, very topical to this play. Is there a plan to disperse the message amongst the broader community? So I'm imagining perhaps, having flyers or information in the program or something like that. Did you have anything like that in mind?
Yeah, I do. And I'd be happy to, because this is early days in terms of the production as well with BNT, but I understand that BNT would be very supportive of that as well. And so I'd be really happy to work with and spend lots of time with the committee about how that might be executed so that it does create a positive message and does provide a platform for people to seek support if they need that, and also to just raise awareness, because I think the discussion around mental health can never be finished. I think needs to always be a discussion around mental health. So if Cosy can contribute to that in a small way, that would be beautiful.
Great. That's all we've got for you here so far, Dan, apart from some really wonderful supportive comments. So that's all the questions.
Cool. Thank you. Thank you for having me, and thank you, BNT. I'm looking forward to this. This will be great. I'm really excited to work with BNT again. I'm excited to direct a play again and to get involved in theatre again.
Yeah, how exciting that we can do that, get into a space and create. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon, Dan. Okay, on to our next show, which is A Streetcar Named Desire, written by Tennessee Williams and directed by Sarah Louise Younger. Hello, Sarah Louise.
Hello, how are you tonight? Nice to meet you, Daisy.
Oh, and you.
Right.
I've got all my pink lights on, so I'm feeling very New Orleans-esque at the moment.
Fabulous. Very fitting, isn't it?
It is. Getting that very Bourbon Street vibe at the moment.
Oh, living for it. Okay. Sarah Louise, let's start off hearing a bit about you. Who is the director?
Oh, a bit about me. So I'm new and not so new to Ballarat. Many moons ago, I was at the Arts Academy and I studied music theatre. And then from there, I went on and worked in a variety of shows and then went on into cabaret and burlesque and then also mostly into dance and teaching dance. After that, I opened up my own theatre company in Melbourne, which is called Salty Theatre. We opened up in 2019 and we have managed to survive the last 2 years. So as a company, what we do is we bring fringe musicals that have had a really great life overseas and we give them an Australian debut. So some of the shows we have done have been Top Gun the Musical, People Suck, which was a musical review on people basically being the worst of humanity. And then our last show was Voldemort and the Teenage Hogwarts musical parody. On top of that, we just opened up our own musical theatre. Oh, can you see me now?
Oh, she's back.
Now, you're back.
You might have to go back about 5 seconds.
Oh, she's back. So I was just saying that we just developed a musical theatre residency program called the Hatch Lab. And we're currently developing a new Australian musical called Paper Stars. It looks at the life of P.L. Travers, who was the writer of the very famed Mary Poppins books. It's set in the 1920s and has this incredible contemporary Britpop score. And for the first time, I believe, has really allowed P.L. Travers to be placed on stage as the woman that she is in her queerdom, which is usually ignored about her. So I'm very excited to be bringing that as well to Australia next year as part of Salty Theatre, where I work.
Thank you so much for sharing, Sarah Louise. Sounds like a great adventure and a great program that you've got going on there in Melbourne. And how awesome that you have been able to come from Ballarat and then you're now reconnected with us in this way.
Yeah, and it's been great. So I moved back here to Ballarat and, you know, because I got married and it was beautiful and he's a Ballarat boy. And then I saw this fabulous theatre, the Ballarat National Theatre, and I put in an application and you guys said, why not? So here I am. I'm very excited.
Well, we're very happy to have you. Now, moving on, can we please hear about what the play is about?
Well, A Streetcar Named Desire is a beast. That's what I'm going to put that out there too. And I think a lot of people who know A Streetcar Named Desire will know what I mean when I say that. Written by Tennessee Williams. It originated on Broadway in 1947 and then it became the famed movie in 1951, which starred Marlon Brando and Vivian Leigh. If we want to go into, I guess, the basic plot, it follows two sisters, Blanche and Stella Dubois. And Blanche turns up on the doorstep of Stella's very humble abode in the French Quarter of New Orleans. And she says that the reason why she's escaped Laurel is because she had very bad nerves and she just couldn't live there anymore. But as the play progresses, we understand that that is actually not the case. And there's been a very tragic reason for why she's been there. I think the fact that it's set after the war is sometimes, I think, a part of the play that is missed in terms of character development. So if we understand, you know, in 1947, you know, particularly for people who were of considered lower standing in the community, and usually that was women, that was the working class, and that was anyone who was non-white identifying. And so a lot of these people suddenly had found, oddly, some sense of purpose during the war. You know, you had African Americans and Americans standing side by side in the war. You had people from the working class suddenly finding respect in the army. And you had women going into the workforce and finding out who they were. And then suddenly everyone went, the war's over, and everyone has to go back to who they were. And that became a very hard place for people to live. So that's one side of the play. On the other side of the play, you know, we usually say that Streetcar Named Desire is nothing but sexuality. And of course, the name itself does lend itself to that. In fact, it's one of the first things that Blanche, you know, proclaims. You know, she says, I came on a streetcar named Desire, and then she fights Desire the entire time of the play. But what I think it's about is sexuality as currency and what that can mean to someone, whether they're female identifying, male identifying, where they are on their sexuality spectrum, how they express it in society, and how we shame people for how they express it. So it's got a lot of layers. And like I said, when I say it's a beast of a show, I genuinely mean it. You don't step into the ring of this play not ready to work, but you should be excited when you're there.
This definitely sounds like a project that you've put your heart and soul into, and I'm really excited to see your interpretation of that, Sarah Louise. It's really, really exciting to hear about. Why did you choose this play?
A Streetcar Named Desire has a very special place in my heart. I think purely as an actor, first and foremost, it truly is a masterclass in acting. It's an institution in of itself. You know, you step on the precipice of a streetcar named Desire. You are forced to find everything in your wheelhouse in order to make those characters breathe and live. The script itself is a character in of itself. It informs not only us, but the audience, the time, the feel. The audience should be able to sit in that space and feel hot. They should feel oppressed, turned on, but also in a lot of ways feel like a mirror has been brought up to themselves. And that's what I love about A Streetcar Named Desire, is it does this subtly. You know, you kind of slowly get into the show, and then you realize, oh gosh, the mirror has been brought up to myself as well. And could I become a victim of my own circumstances and make those choices? And do I have a right to judge those choices in these characters? What would I do if faced with these decisions and choices and problems in my life? And that's why I love the play. I could go on and on about why I love it, but yeah.
Wonderful. Sounds like a very incredibly thought-provoking show. I love a good show that makes you think about yourself and have a sense of reflection. When will this show be on?
Well, at the moment, our discussions, we're looking at either June or July of next year. So I'm hoping that's still on the cards. We'll see how we roll, but that's where we're planning for.
Excellent. So how will you bring this show to life on the stage?
Well, the theatre that I really want to put this in is the Helen McPherson Smith Theatre. I wanted to pick the round because the show really does deal with themes that do involve personal shame. And so I want the actors to feel like they are seen the entire time. And I want the character as well as the actor to feel like they, one, need to put on a show, but sometimes can get caught not putting on a show, which is how we are in life. I'm looking for an incredible set designer who understands how to work minimally, but also powerfully. I'm looking for a costume designer who understands the power of costume, particularly in this type of work where the costume literally mirrors the feelings of not only the character, but the response that's given to their character, and understands what that means from a costume element. I'm looking for an incredible conceptualist, someone who just goes, I've got a vision and I know exactly what that is. I'm looking for a great sound tech who is just as invested in bringing the sounds of New Orleans to life. And I'm looking for an incredible team of actors who are going to trust their talent 100% and is willing to just step in the ring of this show and bring these characters into 2022. So, yeah, that's everything. I'm looking for everything.
Brilliant. What will the audition process be like?
So with the audition processes that I personally tend to do, but I will talk to everyone at Ballarat National Theatre if this is okay first, is I love to do a one-on-one audition usually, and most of the time that is, well, for Streetcar Named Desire, I do feel a one-on-one audition is needed at first because of the themes involved in this show. And then from there, for the callback process, what I like to do is I like to find 2 interchangeable casts who work all day with me and with the crew of Streetcar Named Desire. And basically, we just go through everything in that script, every scene, every character. It doesn't matter what character we think you might be, you will play at least one of those characters on that day. And it's just a great way for you to see if you like the show, if you like me, if we like working together, and if we're all in the spot of the vision. So that's how the audition process will be. So it's really about just coming in and stepping into the place and going, right, I'm here and I'm going to give life to this character with everything I have.
Excellent. And when will these auditions be happening?
So we're probably, I'm going to say, looking at late February, early March, and then stepping right into rehearsals as quickly as we can, just to keep the passion alive. So, yeah, that could change, though, depending on what I'm told.
Just before we move on, we have had a quick question asking how we can apply to be with cast and crew. There has been a link popping up just below. There it is again. Follow that link or type out that link, and that'll take you to where you can apply to join the crew. Carry on, guys.
Excellent. So when would you like to begin this production?
When I would like to begin this production, well, so usually I would love, if we're looking at July, I would always like to look back at least 12 weeks. So I think getting in, getting it done, getting out would be how I want to go. Just so we're not stepping in the ring for too long of a Streetcar Named Desire, because sometimes we don't need that. We don't need to be in there longer than we need to. But short and sharp is how I would love to do it. So I'm just looking for as much enthusiasm and intensity as I can find. Intensity is good. Bring it all.
Excellent. Shannon, do we have any questions within the comments that you'd like to
yes, we've got 2 here, both from Katrina, both along similar lines. The first one she's got is there is a rape scene or an attempted rape scene in Streetcar, fairly well-known scene. How do you want to show that on stage in the current climate? And I'll roll into the other one before you answer, because I think they're very connected, which is, does Ballarat National Theatre have intimacy coordination? Of course, mental health and safety in the entertainment industry, very important. There's some recent events in the film industry specifically. You've touched on this a little bit already, but is there anything you'd like to elaborate on?
Yep, and thank you so much for your question, Katrina. So when I did make my application, we did talk about getting an intimacy coordinator or looking at getting some form of intimacy workshops happening prior to the rehearsals actually happening. I'm very aware of the themes in Streetcar, and that's what I mean by it's a beast of a show. So, you know, we have themes in there such as abuse, mental illness. We do have sexual assault in there. We do have alcoholism. So it is a show that, I guess, one, as an actor, you have to understand that that is what you are coming into. So I do advise that you go and research this play before you step into an audition, 1. And 2, in terms of the actual show itself, this show will be done with consent at the forefront of every rehearsal. So we want to make sure that actors are not putting themselves in a place of risk every single time that they're doing a scene, because the days are long gone of giving everything you can and giving everything away of yourself for the work. We don't want that. We don't want you to feel like you have to live this character in order for the audience to experience this character. That's not the way that we're going to do things. So just to reiterate, we have spoken about getting in either an intimacy workshop or understanding to get an intimacy coordinator into rehearsals, and also doing things like closed rehearsals, so that when we are entering into scenes that are going to be quite intense for some of our leading cast members, that those rehearsals will be closed and that they will be discussed prior to the actual scene happening. But I do want to reiterate, please don't come into this show if you don't know it, because it is going to stretch you as an actor, and you are going to have to be at part willing to be stretched. So that is something to consider. Thanks for your question, Trina.
Okay, that's everything. Again, there's just a few really supportive comments from everyone, which is really wonderful from the community, but that's all the questions there for you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Daisy and Shannon.
Thank you so much, Sarah Louise. Okay, moving on to our next show, which is Mr. Bennett's Bride, written by Emma Wood and directed by Megan J. Riedel. Hello, we've got Megan on the end, and have we got Emma? Welcome, guys. I would just like our community watching. I'm really excited about this because, fun fact, Emma Wood is actually a member of our theatre community as well. So not only has she written this play, but she's a part of our crew, which is awesome. So
Thanks,
hello,
Daisy.
Emma and Megan. First off, I think we will touch base with our director, Megan, if you want to tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, everyone. I'm Megan. I'm a spoken word poet and a playwright, as well as a theatre director. I've lived in Ballarat for about 6 years now, and I've been writing, directing and producing theatre all that time. You might recognise my face from the local paper recently. I've been doing some spoken word video commissions, so I get around. I've worked with BNT before as a director. In 2019, I did Act Like a Girl, which was a series of monologues by female actors doing traditionally male roles. And also in 2019, I did Medea in the courthouse. We had lovely pink motel set, and it was a very, very cool modern take on the classic Greek theatre play. What else do you need to know about me? I guess my style, I would describe it as stylized realism. I'm interested in exploring themes of identity, truth, and power. I'm interested in highlighting social justice themes in my plays. I'm a feminist, so there's always inherently a feminist perspective to my work. I'm interested in hidden stories, inner secrets, and just kind of highlighting things that people maybe aren't talking about, but they should be.
Incredible. Thank you, Megan.
Thank you.
Would love to hear a little bit about yourself, Emma.
Okay, hi everyone. It's lovely to be here. My background is in acting, but I started writing plays in about 2010, and my first one was produced in 2012. Pardon me. That was not this play. That was a contemporary drama, quite different to this one. And then after that first play, which is called Water Child, was produced, I was sort of encouraged. It got some nice acclaim up in Newcastle. People, related to it and enjoyed it and all that. And I was like, oh, I wonder what else will come up. And suddenly I was just struck by, I guess, sort of a lucky inspiration of Mr. and Mrs. Bennett. Like, how did that happen? They're not really a very good couple. and I'm sure your audiences, if they weren't already familiar with them, became very familiar with them last year during your marvellous podcast and the year before when I was lucky to see your fantastic stage production. So yeah, it was just, I just adore those characters. And I think most people who know Pride and Prejudice do. And I think I struck gold in a way just because it wasn't just a good idea. I don't think it's been done before, but there was so much to be found in there of their courtship. So I decided to sit down and figure out how they got together and what on earth convinced them to marry. And that is the subject of my play.
That is so exciting. I know the BNT community has absolutely loved Pride and Prejudice over the past few years, starting off with our stage production in 2018 and then following into COVID doing an audiobook, and now kind of following on within that world. Really, really exciting to kind of hear about that relationship. And exactly as you said, how did they end up together when they are just such polar opposites?
It was so much fun to consider.
For sure. I might aim this question to, oh no, we've already asked you that one. I think I will ask yes, Megan, why did you choose this play?
Well, it was a bit of a no-brainer, really. I came across Emma's work through Melbourne Writers Theatre. We did some drama, script writing development stuff together. And following her on Instagram, I found out about Mr. Bennett's Bride. And I thought BNT would lap this up. The audience loves Pride and Prejudice. The actors love Pride and Prejudice. You're on such a roll with that. And I really, really wanted to work with Emma. So I said to her, hey, let's pitch it to BNT. She was like, I'm already pitching it to BNT. So we just kind of got together and we were like, oh, okay, cool. We're on the same boat. So there was that. But for me, it's also, I think the fact that it's like an origin story is really cool. And I think it's very exciting. Pride and Prejudice is such a famous piece of literature and also now theatre. We also have the BNT specific productions, and I think there's a really cool opportunity to do some fun stuff with little Easter eggs throughout the season, in things like lighting, things like the costumes, even some of the, to the extent of casting some of the same actors as their own predecessors. We can do some really cool, fun stuff with this play. And in terms of character development, it's also a really cool exercise for the actors to be like, how did these characters become themselves? How did they become Mr. and Mrs. Bennet, who are so ill-matched? What happened to them? What were their motivations? What's the backstory? So I think that's going to be a fun thing. The other thing for me is I'm really excited to direct a comedy. Again, it's been too long. I've done some really heavy stuff in the last few years, and so getting into a rehearsal room and having a bit of a ball with some farcical kind of content is exciting and appealing to me.
Amazing. It sounds like it was just absolute fate, honestly, that you guys.
It really was. Yeah, it was like 2 days apart, and Emma's like, "I've pitched it to BNT." I'm like, "I was going to pitch it to BNT." Yeah,
I was so chuffed because obviously it was a strong pitch with a great local director. So I'm like, woohoo! And Megan and I got to know each other a little last year when we were working together on a 2020 vision, which was a COVID project involving BNT and Warrandyte. So I'm really happy to be, I won't be working with her. She's the director, but I'm happy to be involved with her, and then it's exciting. And it's also nice to meet
Yeah, and that's the other thing, Emma, like having a living playwright who's willing to be involved in a small way. Obviously you're not going to be popping into every rehearsal and telling us what to do, but the fact that you're down the road and we can ring you up and you can come in and meet everybody, that's really exciting and really cool. So that's another, yeah.
For sure. Now, Megan, when will this show be on?
Yeah, we are scheduled for a early December 2022 season. So it's a little way away yet. So I don't really have a full kind of schedule happening yet, but we're looking at December.
Excellent, excellent. And how will you bring this show to life on stage?
Yeah, I think for me as the director, it's going to be all about that balance between the classic Pride and Prejudice that we know and that we all love, but adding a sort of little bit of a modern edge, something not so naturalistic. I don't want it to be like stuffy and predictable. I certainly don't want it to look like a replica of a 1780s lounge room. So I'm thinking Bridgerton from Netflix. I'm thinking Hamilton, the musical, this kind of like period pieces that have a really modern vibe. So that's one aspect in terms of the design. I've already talked about Easter eggs throughout the show, so that will be some fun we can have. Costumes, I'm looking at being that main period element, whereas the set will be more stylized. And then lighting and sound to do some really cool, moody, theatrical type of stuff. Simple, changeable, modern. I want it to look theatrical and not naturalistic. Themes, I really want to focus on things like that idea of being this black sheep, the rebellion against your family that the young Mr. Bennet has. What's the importance of duty to the family? What does it mean to be a man and a woman in our kind of Western capitalist society? So I think all of those themes are still going to be relevant, even though it's set in the 1780s. My main kind of dramatic question that's going to drive the play is what impact does duty have on the humanity and happiness of individuals?
Now,
Nice.
who do we need to make this happen? Oh, very nice.
Who do I need? I need everybody. I need everyone. I'm very collaborative as a director, and I see that my role as the director is to kind of have that overarching vision for the show, but then also be a facilitator and an enabler for everybody on the team to come together to put that vision to life. So I really trust that my team members on the production team and then the actors, they're all experts of their own area. And I'm the one that's kind of herding everybody in the right direction. So yeah, if you're interested in being in a really collaborative team, please come my way. I am looking for an assistant director. I would really love to mentor somebody who's interested in getting into directing. Maybe you're an actor and you'd like to get into more of the directing side. Maybe you're a tech person and you want to have a go. I need an AD to be my right hand. I'm a busy person, so I also love having that backup. I like having an extra person to work with actors in rehearsal. Yeah, so if you want to come and be my AD, I would love to have you on board. Similarly, production manager is really key for me. I really rely heavily on them, and I want someone who's got initiative, someone who can just get stuff done, beavering away in the background, and kind of getting on with all that administrative things so that I can focus on the creative side of it. I've worn both hats in productions before, and I don't want to have to do that. So please, production managers, you are very important. You may not have creative input, or you might be a creative production manager as well. Either way is fine. Yeah, come and hold my hand, please.
Yeah, check out that link that's below right now.
Yeah, we've got that link.
Yeah. Amazing. Yeah, put your name in. The other important person is the stage manager. I really like to have my stage manager locked in from the very beginning of the process, so that they're on board, everybody knows who they are, they can get to know the actors early on and have them transition into running all the dress rehearsals, and so that I can, keep my heels up now, so that I can focus on the tech side of things during production week, and they can look after all the actors. So stage manager could potentially be a dual role with the assistant director. If someone wants to take on both roles, that would be cool too. And then, yeah, your regular just swathe of designers, costume designer, set designer, and construction, lighting designer, and the sound designer. So all of those people, I would love to get my production team sorted quite early, even before I even look at auditioning. So at this stage, it's really all about the production team.
Excellent.
That sounds epic. Can't wait to see
it's
it.
Epic. All of it. Come on, everybody. Come on. I'm so used to doing independent theatre where I do everything myself. So the fact that BNT has a big community and is really supportive, I can be like, yes, roll. You get a, I'm like Oprah. You get a roll. You get a roll.
We're all about many hands making lighter work.
Absolutely.
For sure. So anyone watching that would like to partake in this production of Mr. Bennett's Bride, like we said, the link below, click on it, email us, we can sort it out. Alrighty, next question. What would the audition process be?
Yeah, I haven't thought too deeply about it because it is quite far away, but normally I would do it, sort of open call to auditions, come and show me what you've got. I'll get you to read something from the play, but also you can present something of your own. I may do some rehearsals in pairs, for example, with the Bennetts, or the Bennetts to be. They're not Bennetts yet, are they? And just to make sure that the dynamics are right. The other thing that I do want to reiterate is if you were in Pride and Prejudice before, either the stage production or the podcast, please come and audition. You might be the perfect father to yourself, and it would be really funny. It'd be really funny and cool to have some of that going on. The other thing I want to say is that please don't be put off if you are not white and you cannot do an English accent. I want P&P to be accessible to everybody. So if you are like a 40-year-old woman and it's your dream to play Mr. Collins the sleazebag, please come and audition. I would love to give you a chance. For me, it's much more important that you're a team player, that your dramatic ability is there, the chemistry is there, then fitting the role description. So, hey, come. And if you're not right for this play, I do lots of stuff with actors all the time. So coming and auditioning, not just for me, but for anyone, coming and auditioning is a chance to be seen, is a chance to get known. Often you'll find, for particularly independent theatre, people just ring and invite you to do stuff. So come and audition. That's what I'll say.
I'm sorry, I'm personally offended that you called Mr. Collins a sleazebag.
I'm so
Just
sorry.
to be totally clear, Shannon, Mr. Collins is a newborn in this play, so you'd be auditioning for his father.
Hey,
So
we're
he's even worse.
For those of our viewers that might not have seen our first production of Pride and Prejudice, Shannon actually played Mr. Collins, hence the disgust.
And he did a wonderful job.
Oh, thank you very much.
I'm sure there's
He's
many
a
more layers
wonderful,
to him.
horrible person.
He's wonderfully horrible, and that's what we love about him. Yeah.
What a brilliant character. So, when would you like to begin this production?
Yeah, as I said, it's not till December, so we do have a bit of time, but I would like to get the production team sorted early, kind of mid-year. So, once I've got a production team set, we'll do all the planning and stuff early on. And then I'm probably looking at around August for some auditions. And then we'll do things like costuming and marketing and photos and all that before we even start rehearsals. The first thing that I always do is have a big team meeting with everybody there. So all of the cast, all of the crew, and Emma will be there as well. And we do a full read through. We'll present the vision for the show so everybody's on the same page. And all of the sort of like expectations, what I expect from you, what you expect from me, like all of that right at the start. And then probably looking at rehearsals throughout September, October, and November. Mainly just because of my own personal schedule, it will probably be a longer process than I would normally want to do, just because I'm a busy person. But it's all still up in the air, so it's a while away yet. Who knows what will happen?
Excellent. Yeah, I'd like to pass over to Shannon for any questions we might have for Emma or Megan in the comments.
Awesome.
Again, we don't have any questions for you guys as we're going. There's some really fantastic supportive comments. Everyone's really keen about this piece of original Australian theatre that's based upon this wonderful classic. There's a couple of questions that I'll just quickly address that are general. Somebody, Alicia Lee, did come in and ask about Children of the Black Skirt. Yes, that is still going ahead. You did miss that. It was right at the start of the stream. That will be early next year. So keep an eye out for Children of the Black Skirt there. And the other question from Elizabeth Hardiman about how we're going to be attracting talent for all of these shows, including Mr. Bennett's Bride. We have talked about this a little bit, but we always push through social media and letting our membership know through newsletters. We rely a lot on word of mouth as well. So if you know someone who has done a bit of acting or wants to get back into it, or has never done it, but you reckon they'd be really good at it, or is good with tech, or is good with building and just likes community stuff, even if they're not a super theatery person, we have such a great community. So tell them, tell your friends, tell your mum, tell your kids, tell everyone. It's a great community group and we do good stuff. So that's a big part of how we attract talent, is we just try to do good work and work with good people and get that out there. But of course, we also have some really fantastic social media talent on our team as well. You can join our mailing list. The link just below here. That also, as well as applying to be cast and crew and that sort of stuff, that also will take you to our mailing list. So go there, tell people to go there, get all of our news, and that's the biggest way I know. If Daisy Kate, if you know of anything I haven't mentioned there, but that's most of our plan at the moment. But also we love commentary and notes from our crew. So if anyone in our community has any ideas for how we can reach out even more, send us an email, get in contact with us. We'd love to get your input.
Yeah, very well said, Shannon. Emma or Megan, is there anything you would like to let our viewers know right now? Something to kind of plug the show, or something you feel like we should know coming up to auditions, if for those that are interested in being a part of this show?
I think the one thing I will also say is that I'm not an expert on Pride and Prejudice, and I'm not a diehard fan. So if you are either and or both of those things, and you want to be like my P&P consultant in this show, please come on board, because I'd love to have someone who can be like, no, to keep me in line a little bit, and to make sure that it's all a hunky dory. Yeah, that'd be cool.
I'm just trying to plug the Pride and
Oh
Prejudice.
yeah. There's a lot of you out there. There's a lot of you out there who know the book backwards. I'm not that person, but I would love to have you on the team.
Megan, I'm going to add to that by saying I'm not that person either. I got into it via the miniseries in Colin Firth. I'm sure I'm not the only one.
Although I've got to say, Matthew McFadden gives Colin Firth a run for his money. Just putting it out there.
We'll have to fight about this later. We will
okay,
fight
all right.
I think, can I just add that there's some lovely cameo roles as well as some good lead roles. So there are 10 roles, and if you're looking for something small and not too demanding, there's fun little cameos too, and lots of good roles for women of all ages, which is always one of my main ambitions as a playwright. Obviously, some excellent male roles too.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Emma and Megan, for joining us today. How exciting to have both of you here and being able to talk about this project from kind of both aspects of directing and writing. We're going to be moving on to our next show, which is Dust and Ruin, which is written by Alexandra Meerbach and Mika Wallace and will be directed by Alexandra Meerbach. Unfortunately, she's unable to join us today, so Shannon will do the honors and share a little bit of information about that show with you guys.
Yes, great. Now, I'm not part of the creative team of Dust and Ruin, so I've only got what information we've been given, but it looks really great. Alex has sent through some information as well. So Dust and Ruin is, as you can tell from the writers up here, it is an original Australian piece. It will be early 2023. So this is technically part of our 2023 season, but we've already locked it in and we'd love to talk to everyone about it. And we will get a bit more detail in the 2023 season launch, which will be in, funnily enough, around about a year from now. But Dust and Ruin, it was devised pre-2020, and that's important to note because it does have very, very strong themes of isolation, a world in disarray, a climate in decline, and also international incidents. I don't want to give too much away here, but it's set in 2029, I believe. Let me just double check that. Yes, so it is set in 2029. So if you're a little bit later than now, things have fallen apart a little bit more than, let's say, they already have, and a family basically build a bunker out in the bush, and they're out in the bush. They're spending some time in this bunker. The parents decide to go out and collect some supplies for the family, but the parents don't come back. So the entire theme is about these young people. It's a very varied cast. So the cast is at least a few younger teenagers, so 2 to 3 younger teenagers. But really, it's just about a dozen teenage actors, and we can, Alex has said, there is some scope to cast people in their 20s who look a bit younger and play around a bit there. But it's really great to have this piece that's about young people's experiences and things that young people can relate to. Coincidentally, again, it wasn't the original plan of this piece, but these themes of isolation and you know, the world sort of falling apart with it, I think people might identify a bit, given our last couple of years here, especially.
For sure, Shannon, yeah.
So they chose this play, I believe, and from the information we have, it was collaboratively designed by Mika, Alexandra, and an original cast that workshopped this play and everything in 2019. So it wasn't chosen because of the last 2 years, but it just coincidentally fits in really well with that theme. So that's just about what we've got. As I said, we will revisit this at next year's launch. They are planning to look at casting mid-ish next year. So keep an eye out as well. Join the mailing lists to keep an eye on when cast and crew will be coming up as available. But it will be early 2023 production, potentially mid to later next year for joining the cast and crew. And as I said, just stay tuned.
For sure. Thank you for the little spiel, Shannon. As we said, more information will come up as we get closer to those dates. Very exciting show season ahead. Now we've spoken all about our physical theatre pieces for this year, and we're now going to be moving on to talking about our upcoming podcast. So I'd like to welcome Liana Skews to the stage. Hello, Liana.
Hey, how you going?
Pretty good. How are you?
Very good.
Well, alrighty, Liana. Tell us about who the director is. Who are you?
Oh, right, me. Okay. So hi, I'm Liana. For those of you who don't know me, I don't like bios and I get a bit bored talking about myself. So in summary, I'm an actor. My directorial debut was with our Pride and Prejudice podcast with my that I brought to life with my co-creator Olivia French in 2020. I studied acting at 16th Street Actors Studio, and I drink a lot of tea. That's me in a nutshell. Yeah.
Fabulous, fabulous. Now, Liana, we've got a really busy podcast season coming up, don't we? So listed at the top of the screen, you guys will see we have first up Persuasion, then following Alice in Wonderland and The Great Gatsby. Now, I've got a few different questions, Liana. Feel free to I'll ask a question and then you can answer for however you feel is necessary for the three. My first question is, what are the plays / audiobooks about?
Yeah, right. So we've got 3 coming out. The first one is Persuasion, which we're already into pre-production now. We are looking for crew while I'm working on the pre-production. There's link in the comments as well if you want to join the crew. Follow the one that says Persuasion crew. Just a note on that, you will need to be signed into a Google account to apply for it because you've got to upload a file, which is your resume, because I really want to know all about you. There's a whole heap of different roles that we're looking for that. I'll get back to that in a second. We'll talk about getting people involved with all 3 in a bit. So Persuasion is Jane Austen's last novel that she wrote, and it was published after her death. We're actually coming up to the anniversary of it being published, which was, I think it was in like the 12th of December in 1818 or something like that. They were just 2 random stabs in the dark. No one take those dates seriously. It is on our website. If you go to bnt.org.au and go to Persuasion, it'll have the actual dates in there. So it's a beautiful piece. It's her most romantic of all of them. It is a piece about long-suffering love and about hope. It's quite short compared to her other pieces. Pride and Prejudice is about 140,000 words. So Sense and Sensibility, Persuasion's clocking in at more like, I think it's like 80,000. Anyway, so Persuasion, the reason that I proposed Persuasion was because every fan of our podcast asked for it. So when asking, what are you going to do next? They didn't say, what are you doing next? They said, can we please have Persuasion next? So that's why we're doing that one next. And I'll just add to this as well. These 3 podcasts, before I pitched them, I actually did the adaptation and prepared them as scripts. And then in May this year, I accidentally deleted all 3, which I haven't emotionally recovered from yet. But I have recompleted the script of Persuasion, and I've got to redo Alice in Wonderland and The Great Gatsby still. So Persuasion is prepped and ready to go. Now, a little bit about Alice in Wonderland. Everybody knows it. So it's the story of a young girl. Like, it's your hero's journey. She crosses the threshold. She has an adventure and she comes back. And is changed because of it. There's a lot of interesting and queer themes in Alice in Wonderland, which is the reason why I proposed this show. And it was because we have been approached by local queer festivals for a few years before the pandemic to somehow be involved, and we didn't have anything to offer. And because we plan our season so far in advance, how do you plan for that? So this was my offering for that. So I'll get back to the reason for that in a minute. And then, of course, The Great Gatsby. The Great Gatsby is, in my opinion, a story that people often get confused as being a love story between Daisy Buchanan and Jay Gatsby. It's not. in my opinion, it is the love story between the lead character and narrator and his friend, Jay Gatsby. It's possibly platonic, but definitely open to interpretation. It's definitely not requited affection if it is anything but platonic. But the lead character is not heterosexual. So there's a lot of themes which I don't think people get to explore usually, because you might watch the movie and the movie has been very well adapted to film, but it's a very different story to what the novel is about. So, what was the next question we'll probably ask? Why these ones?
Yeah, why did you choose these plays?
Yeah, cool. So I've explained that for Persuasion. Alice in Wonderland I've explained because it's going to be our offering for the Queer Festival. So I'll go a little bit more into that. This, the adaptation of Alice in Wonderland, really short. It's going to be really quick and easy to put together compared to, like, it's not going to be easy, but compared to the bigger podcast that we do, we should be able to have a lot of fun doing a micro podcast. And the idea of that is I want as many queer members of our community to be part of this as possible. So everybody in the queer community, this is the show that I want to represent us. And I want us to be like, look at this beautiful piece that we've made with all these queer allegories in it. There's some wonderful questions about gender. Like there's this brilliant point where one of the magical creatures that Alice meets in Wonderland asks her if she's a girl or not, and how does she know? And she has to sit there and say, because I know in here that I'm a girl. So it's there's some beautiful stuff in there that we can explore together as a group. And I really want to hear what everyone else wants to put into it. So we're looking for all of the crew possible on that one. So the link down there, you can be part of crew and also be part of creative. So link down there if you want to express your interest in being part of it. But I'll get into later what the auditions and stuff will be like. But first, we're going to be working on Persuasion. And then why The Great Gatsby? Because The Great Gatsby, if you have or haven't read it recently, it's beautiful prose. It's incredibly well written. It's delicious to read. So to hear it, it'll be great. It's also just been moved into... words. My brain is saying Creative Commons, and that's not what I mean. It's
public domain.
Public domain. Thank you, Shannon.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's moved into public domain as of the start of this year. So it's a perfect timing to adapt this one. So we always adapt podcasts that are in the public domain because we don't then have to pay the costly licensing fees and can make the podcasts on a shoestring, basically. So that's what we're making and why. What's next? What's the next question, Daisy?
Excellent. Well, first off, really excited to hear about where you're taking your interpretations of these shows. I think it's really great that you're opening up even more so this community to other communities. So I'm really excited for this one, all of them, Liana. When will this show be on?
Yeah, the show. So Persuasion is now. Please get on it if you want to be part of it. I need the crew first, and then we're going to start doing a call out for auditions. So to be part of a crew, the people I'm looking for are an assistant director, a production manager, and production assistants, and if you want anything to do with sound. So the production manager, to do that role, you need to be someone that is confident doing administrative stuff. So using Google Drive is one of the things that we'll do, and sending people confidently sending emails, looking at our spreadsheets and ticking off the things that we need to do. There's a whole heap of stuff on that front. For production manager and production assistants, there's a whole ton of work we do in handling files, because people will be doing their recordings and then sending them in. So we need people who will be willing to, follow up and make sure that the files that we need are received, they're named and categorized properly. Because we handle so many, it just makes it easier once they get onto their editing table and are cut and pasted and moved around and stuff, using the software that we do. If you are interested in being part of a podcast and you aren't creative, then this is the avenue to do it. You can be right up there as close as possible without actually having to be the person that stands in front of a microphone. So if you want to be part of that, the link is live. Let's make that visible again. So yeah, you will need to have a Google account to sign in to the form if you aren't already signed into a Google account already. So just jump in there and put in some details about yourself, so that I can get to know who you are and hopefully bring you onto the show. So yeah, Persuasion is first and now and happening, and then next will be Alice in Wonderland, and I need to get my butt into gear for that because it's going to be happening very early in the year, depending when the queer festivals align, but hopefully it shouldn't take us too long to pull it all together and record it and edit it and get it out there. But we'll be going through the same process and looking for crew as well. I should just say as well, just going back to the assistant director that I'm looking for Persuasion, the goal is the assistant director is the assistant to the director, and the creative side of things. So I would love to have someone that is really into Jane Austen, if not would be willing to really know the content with me, so that when I'm throwing ideas around, I can be like, do you think that this character's motivation might be this, that they can bounce those ideas back and forth with me, and can also, when I need assistance workshopping things with the cast, that I can have someone that I can rely on for that type of work. So yeah, you can also be a part of the crew and still act, so you don't have to feel like you can choose between the two. If you want to be involved on every front, it's totally doable. So, and then that'll be followed by Gatsby. We don't have a set date. It's just going to be whenever that flows into, it'll be just at some point during 2022, and we'll go through the same process that we're doing here. So it'll start first with recruiting the crew, production manager, production assistant, sound team, and assistant directors, and then doing the auditions as well. So yeah.
Wonderful. Just like to point out to our viewers what a great opportunity. If you are someone who lives far away or is unable to be within person in the theatre space, podcasts are a great way for you to continue to engage in creativity and our BNT community. So what a great way to learn a new skill for one, whether that be a part of the crew or even as an actor, recording, that's a whole thing. It was a great learning experience for me during Pride and Prejudice. So yeah, don't be deterred if you are not within close parameters or unable to physically be within a theatre space at the moment. This is a great opportunity for you to come and join. Liana, specifically for Persuasion, as that's what's coming up, who do you need to make this show happen right now?
Crew. So crew. That's what I'm looking for. Anyone that wants to be involved in making it happen, put your name down, and then we're going to be looking for our actors. So we've had a couple of people interested already, but we really want to get as many people as possible in to make it a real nice collective, so that we can make it run nice and smoothly. Yeah. And then yeah, actors. This one is going to be in a British RP accent. Alice in Wonderland. I haven't decided yet because I want to leave that open to the fun collaboration of the collective group that we have there. And then Great Gatsby is obviously in a general American accent, obviously moving more towards New York. So yeah, for Persuasion though, practice your British accent and we'll have some really fun online. You will do your recording, submit it. That'll be the way it goes for that one, and that'll be soon, as soon as we've got the crew locked in.
Awesome. Touching a little bit on actors and what they'll be expecting, what will the audition process be like for these shows?
Yeah, so with auditions for Jane Austen, something that we found worked really well last time was getting people to just read an excerpt of the novel, because the way Jane Austen writes is closer to Shakespeare than it is to the way we talk now. It's quite like languages has evolved quite a bit since Austen wrote. So we need to hear you talk, like bring the text into you and let it come back out and see how that fits and sits. So it'll probably be an excerpt of the novel to read out, and possibly an excerpt of some dialogue as well if you do want to have a go at a particular character. And there is this has some really great characterization in it. So Austen's excellent at her characterization. Obviously, you got a very clear idea of who her characters were in Pride and Prejudice with like Mr. Collins and Mary Bennet. Like they're very different characters. They sound like very, very different people. So we've got the same thing here in Persuasion. So Anne Elliot's family are fantastic fun. So if you want to have a go at bringing some very bold characters to life in a way that both grates and entertains, like it's some really fun stuff to do. So there'll be some great characters that you can play around with as part of the audition process. Yeah. And auditions will probably be in the next 6 to 8 weeks.
Incredible. You've just answered my next question. And that kind of goes into when you would like to begin the production. I guess you're looking for interest right now and you're wanting to, let's get it going. Let's do it.
So Persuasion's already off and running. And then next, again, unsure about Alice in Wonderland because I just want to get Persuasion like fully launched with a whole team first, and then I'll do all the planning stuff around Alice in Wonderland and get it out there with a team, and then Gatsby will be based on the other things that happen, but it'll be at some point in 2022. So with these ones, they just sort of happened in the background naturally, and then we'll just pop their head up when they're done around the other season shows and stuff that we're doing. So yeah.
Excellent. Thank you so much for all the information, Liana. Quickly before I pass on to Shannon, I can't help but notice, is that what kind of earring display have you got on it? I feel like that might be a bit of an Alice in Wonderland theme.
Yes, and I'm so glad you mentioned this.
Not to ask about it.
There's my hair's in the way. We've got so there's a heart and a card there, and then this side's a clock. So these earrings, I recently became Twitter friends with one of my favorite poets, Eileen Chong. So her latest publication is 1,000 Splendid Blooms. I think I said that right. Her poetry is just amazing. Anyway, so she's just been sending gifts to her Twitter friends, and she sent me these, and I was like, do you know that I'm doing Alice in Wonderland? And so I just had to wear them because it was just so serendipitous that she sent me these Alice in Wonderland earrings, not knowing that we're about to season launch and I was about to talk about this really exciting project. So yeah, thanks.
That's really exciting. Awesome. Sorry, I just couldn't help myself. Could you please remind us what the handle was for that poet, just in case anyone was curious and looking at
Eileen
her?
Chong. I'll get us to put it in the and I'm pretty sure it is 1,000 Splendid Blooms. Bear with me while I type this into Google to make sure I'm telling you the exact right book title because she's got several. 1,000 Crimson Blooms, and it was published this year. It's got this beautiful black cover with like flowers all over it. Yeah, so check her out. Her poetry is divine. She's an Australian poet, and she's very, very talented. Yeah.
Wonderful. Now, Shannon, did you yourself have any questions for Liana or any questions in the comments?
There's a couple in the comments, but nothing too specific. From myself, I haven't got a question, but I do have a comment, not something we did mention, talking about online content. We do actually now have a small pool of microphones that belong to the company. So if you want to get involved and record for any of these online content podcasts or anything we have in the future, because this is definitely something I think we should keep doing ongoing because the internet exists in this time. But we do have a few mics. So if you don't have a good microphone or you don't want to, or you're not able to invest in a microphone because they can be a little bit pricey. We have a couple, we can loan them out to you while you're working, or even COVID allowing, we might actually even be able to set up a space for actors to come into somewhere we have and record. So having your own microphone is an awesome bonus, but it's not something you need. Just sort of a comment from me. Otherwise, again, lots of really wonderful comments. Just very love to see the support from the community. It's really awesome. We do have a question from Katrina wondering if we're planning on moving out of the courthouse anytime soon.
Yes.
So the courthouse theatre, go ahead, Daisy Kate.
Yeah, so as our community would know, the Courthouse Theatre has been the place essentially within the Ballarat National Theatre community for a very, very long time. It holds a dear part of my heart, I'm sure others within the community. In regards to moving out of the courthouse as such, that's very dependent on the world that we're in, and also the request of the directors. So we have had directors for this season that have specific theatres in mind, whether that be the courthouse or a different one. And as a board, we will try our best to meet those requests from that director. Obviously, just acknowledging the history that is there and the attachment to that. But that is not to say that we are only going to be performing within that one space. We're open to working in different spaces and trying to meet the request of those directional teams. Anything
Absolutely.
you want to add?
Ballarat has so many wonderful theatre spaces, or even spaces that aren't theatre spaces but totally could be, which is a really great thing that theatre can do. So we're not necessarily moving out. I mean, we don't necessarily live in the courthouse either, but we're just branching out and allowing that branching out to happen. But it's a good question. Fantastic question. Yep. But that's all we've got in the comments here, unless someone wants to drop one in there like really super quick. Yeah. Anyone watching that has a question for us?
I would just like to thank you so much for your time, Liana, and very, very excited to be hearing about Persuasion, Alice in Wonderland, and The Great Gatsby. Like mentioned before, if you were interested in being a part of any of these creative teams, especially Persuasion, please follow on to the link that we have below and let's get in touch and get this going, because what a great project to have on the side of live theatre. It's down here, guys. Please click on the links. Thank you so much, Liana.
No worries. Thanks, Daisy Kate. Thanks, Shannon.
No worries.
Thanks.
Unless any other questions come up, I think that's pretty much it. We're at the end of our broadcast. I would just like to thank all those that are viewing. Thank you for sitting through with us and listening to the incredible directors that we have on hand for this season coming up and the incredible shows lined up. It's so exciting to look to the future and fingers crossed and touch wood, have live theatre. I know there's so many people within our community, not only performers, not only crew, but audience members who are just itching to get back in the space. I know I am. So thank you so much for joining us this evening, guys.
Great. I would like to add just on the end here as well, BNT does have merch. You can check out our Redbubble store. I'm wearing this really cool shirt. We have a whole bunch of designs. You saw DK's mug earlier as well. We've got mugs, we've got masks, we've got backpacks and caps. Look, it's Redbubble. Redbubble has a bunch of stuff, and we have designs that go on heaps of them for pretty much all of our shows in recent years. And we will continue that trend as much as possible for shows going forward. So just keep an eye on that if you want to. It helps us pay for things. We are a not-for-profit organization, so we're not trying to make bank from people, but it helps us keep things going and be able to make really cool community art. But that's all from me.
That's exactly it. Thank you so much, Shannon, for joining me and helping me host. And yeah, thanks so much, guys. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
All right. Okay. Night, everybody.
Bye.